We're on video now? Okay, great. All right, I'll take it from the top. Good afternoon and welcome to the City Club of Eugene's December 19th, 2025 program, our iteration of our annually recurring program, Gifts to the City. My name is Thomas Hura. I serve as president of City Club, and I'm pleased to welcome you to another of the many forums we've held since 1990 in the name of our mission to build community vision through open inquiry. City Club is lucky to be a trusted, open, and independent voice for Eugene area community members to be heard, and as a lifelong Eugenian, I dare say the community's lucky to have the City Club and to hear from our program guests and questions from the audience, whether here in the beautiful Wow Hall, online, or over the radio. We believe these kinds of gatherings around critical community topics strengthen our understanding of one another and ultimately our ability to support the community building work in so many sectors of Eugene. In today's fractured information landscape, we want to be a space where you can participate in unearthing, disseminating, and sharing relevant information and conversation together. We would love for you to browse our past programs at cityclubofeugene.org or our YouTube or Facebook. Please consider becoming a member if you'd like to support our rigorous volunteer work as Oregon's only city club that meets weekly. There are many ways to partner with us, and I'd like to thank our Diamond community sponsors. The University of Oregon has helped Oregonians question critically, think logically, reason effectively, communicate clearly, act creatively, and live ethically since 1876. Get more information at uoregon.edu. Lane Community College transforms lives through learning. LCC provides comprehensive, accessible, high-quality educational opportunities that promote student success. For more information, visit lanecc.edu. And thank you to the City of Eugene and to Lane County for their generous support as well. Summit Bank is our Sapphire sponsor. We're proud to do our banking at Summit, and we're grateful for the contributions of Summit's employees to our club and community. Now, a brief reminder to silence all cell phones in the hall. Our program coordinator today is John Belcher, but he wanted to cede his time to the presenters today, and we have a very capable MC who will introduce the topic. I now give the floor to Reverend Dan Bryant.
Thank you, Thomas. I was a little slow on the uptake because I was trying to silence my cell phone. And I don't think I succeeded, but I'll get to it at some point. So, welcome. Once again, we have a delightful mix of gift givers that include a number of firsts. Our first mother-son team of speakers, the first female news director in Alaska, a first citizen named by the Eugene Chamber of Commerce, a medical professional, a bevy of social activists and community volunteers, a duck football scholarship recipient, and not one, not two, not three, but 4 former City Club presidents, another first. And of course, this being a season of many traditions, a long-established tradition of our program is to begin with our local celebrity and the highest-ranking member of slimy royalty, the Slug Queen of Eugene. Hilaria Gastronome, sometimes also known as Jin Jay, is the 43rd Slug Queen of Eugene. She's widely celebrated for her vibrant personality and commitment to community engagement. With a passion for promoting local arts, she embodies the spirit of Eugene's quirky culture. Hilaria, or Queen Laurie, uses her platform to champion inclusivity, social justice, and fun, hosting events that bring together residents and visitors alike. Known for her creative costumes, as evident today, I'm sorry, radio audience, you'll have to use your imagination, and infectious enthusiasm, she invites everyone to embrace their inner slug and reveal the joy of self-expression. Your Honorable Queen Laurie.
Hey, everybody. Hello, City Club. How we doing? I'm coming in real hot on this mic. I do stand-up comedy, so yeah, I will grab the mic and just run with it. Let's go. I'm so excited to be here today. and share with you my gift for the city. I took it very literal to create a weird thing. And so I'll be excited afterwards. You can come and take a closer look at it. But I'll give you my speech, and I'll tell you about my gift for the city. And then I was thinking of something else. Maybe it'll come to me. I don't know. We'll see. I am the 43rd Slug Queen in a long line of amazing, impressive queens. And thank you. And I'm very thrilled to be able to have a platform where I can share my passion for inclusivity and just, whatever we can do to kind of equalize the gap for the marginalized people. And so that's very important to me. So without further ado, I have my humble offering, my gift for the city of Eugene. It is the gift of cultural hygiene. This is a cultural hygiene station. It's a mobile station. There's handles. This is actually the hawking box that I made to give out my bribes to all the queens on Coronation Day. And so I thought it was, apropos that I repurpose it in my mobile cultural hygiene station. So cultural hygiene is a civic amenity that we could adopt where we can communally rinse out our vibes, not just our bodies. We understand here in Eugene that hygiene is an act of care. And we carry it out in lots of ways. We compost, we recycle, we have really strong feelings about kombucha. The cultural hygiene, that's where things get a little dreadlocked. I think that dreadlocks are a great model for my cultural hygiene station because they represent, or they're right at the intersection of appreciation and appropriation, and a little bit of I studied abroad once. Thank you, white people. It's time that we start taking a closer look at, are embodying dreadlocks. This station isn't to shame anyone, but a safe place to ask, do you know where your dreads came from? Do you understand what you're carrying with it? Cultural hygiene is like regular hygiene. You can be well-meaning and still need a rinse. You can love something and still need to learn about it. This station offers gentle education, historical context, and a chance to check your aesthetic before walking out the door. Cultural hygiene is not about being perfect. It's about being thoughtful. It's about being thoughtful. It's about not tracking mud into spaces where it doesn't belong, metaphorically. I, Hilaria Gastronome, offer this gift not as a decree, but as an invitation. Let us ooze forth with curiosity, kindness, and most importantly, ooze the change you want to see in the world and take no mercy. Thank you.
So there you go, cultural hygiene. Where else but at the City Club of Eugene? You've learned something new, right? Thank you, Queen Hilaria. So speaking of outfits, I hope you took note of my Arctic Circle vest, which I thought would be the closest I'll ever get to the North Pole, and by motorcycle, no less, which I think is nearly as good as a sleigh and reindeer. Well, at any rate, here at City Club, we not only celebrate quirky Eugene, we also celebrate quacky Eugene. And given the success of our quacky friends of the gridiron this season, go Ducks, right? It seems fitting that we have a former Duck football player with us today, Andy Vobora. Andy came to Eugene in 1978 as a linebacker on a football scholarship. In his senior year, he was selected to the Pac-10 All-Academic Team. Remember when the number meant something in the name of the league, right? Now we are part of the Big Ten, which has what? 18 teams. And then there's the Big 12 that has 16 teams, and the Pac-12 has 2, right? Go figure. Well, at any rate, Andy comes from an earlier era, so early, in fact, he probably remembers when Bobby Moore was Bobby Moore, right? Yep, I see him nodding. Fresh out of the University of Oregon, Oregon began a career with the Lane Transit District in 1983, working his way from manager of customer services to director of service planning, marketing, accessible services, and facilities when he left in 2016 to become the vice president and stakeholder relations with Travel Lane County, serving his entire career here in Eugene. Andy now enjoys, as do I, the golden age of retirement, begun this past January. But Andy is still active on the gridiron, officiating high school games for the past 36 seasons. He also volunteers at Hayward Field, Rotary, and Hosea Youth Services. Andy, the ball is in your hands.
Thank you, Dan, and thank you, City Club. As a high school football official for the past 36 seasons, my first inclination in terms of giving a gift today was going to be giving a gift of a sense of calm and peace to the very many rabid youth and high school football fans out there who display an incredible level of divisiveness and anger, mostly stemming from the fact that they don't understand the differences between the rules for high school, college, and professional sports, or football in particular. But I'm going to save that wave of the wand for another day, and I'm going to focus on something that I think is surprisingly powerful. I'd gift our city a renewed sense of community pride. Not pride as a slogan, but pride you can see. In 2024, my granddaughter, who was visiting from Texas, and I were driving across town to go to a U of O women's basketball game. When she became quiet, which is very rare for this young lady, and then she asked me, "Grandpa, why is there so much graffiti here?" That was a gut punch. I feel a lot of pride in this community, and at the moment I gave her an answer, it just really wasn't a great answer. What made it especially telling was that she doesn't live here. She wasn't criticizing, she was simply observing. And it reminded me that community pride isn't what we say about ourselves, but rather it's what our shared spaces quietly say back. The first way I'd express community pride is through graffiti cleanup. When graffiti lingers, it sends a subtle message that no one's responsible. When it's cleaned, it sends a different one. This place matters. We care. The second way is by addressing English ivy. Yes, English ivy. English ivy has been a pet peeve of mine since purchasing a house in southwest Eugene in the 1980s with 2 fence lines completely covered with English ivy. Now, ivy, as we all know, is invasive. It chokes out native plants, it weakens our trees, it harms the health of our forests and our river corridors. It doesn't look dramatic, but that's the danger. It quietly takes over when we're not paying attention. This is a place where everyone has a role. Homeowners can remove ivy from their yards, and the city and county can address ivy in public spaces. There are visible places where we could start, just a couple of blocks from here, around the Holt Center parking garage, for example, or as we enter and exit the Eugene Airport. So removing ivy is an act of optimism. It's choosing long-term health over quiet neglect. The third way is simply picking up trash. I know Kitty and I have had a lot of discussions about trash over the years. And I want to acknowledge the city of Eugene for placing many new trash receptacles throughout downtown and increasing the cleanup staffing and for their ongoing efforts to clean up homeless camps. Those efforts matter and they make a real difference, but government can't do it alone. Here in Oregon, we have a long tradition of citizen involvement in keeping communities clean. Programs like SOLVE were created around the simple idea when people care for a place themselves, they're more likely to respect it and protect it. And the good news is we already do this. Organizations like Willamette Riverkeeper clean our riverbanks. The Rotary Club of Eugene cares for places like Skinner Butte Park. and countless volunteers adopt highways, trails, and neighborhoods. Eugene is full of people who care. So the magic wand isn't removing graffiti overnight, pulling ivy from every hillside, or picking up every piece of trash. The real magic is remembering who we already are. My gift to Eugene is a renewed sense of community pride, one that shows up in how we care for the places we share. So the next time a 9-year-old looks out the window in Eugene, I hope the question she asks is, "Grandpa, why is this place so beautiful?" Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. And as a homeowner who's been fighting that ivy for 20-plus years, I would second that motion along with graffiti and trash and all the rest. So, well, since we're looking back in time, let's hear from the first of our 4 former City Club presidents, Kathy Madison, who led City Club many, many years ago, back when I first got involved. In fact, it was so long ago, no one knew or cared that Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were friends. The good old days, right? Kathy earned a degree in journalism from the University of Oregon. She began her career as a reporter in Anchorage, Alaska, was the first female news director in the state. She and her family moved to Eugene in 1989, where she worked in the city manager's office as the communications officer. Kathy served as the president of the club in Eugene and oversaw the publication of the club's one and I think only book, 1945 to 2000, Decisions That Made a Community. How many still have that book? Yeah, several. Excellent. Kathy retired in 2015 and continues to actively participate in our community in many endeavors. So, Kathy, we turn the podium over to you. Once again, it's great to have you back.
Test, test, test.
Off to a good start. So have you noticed that everybody's rushing around lately? And it's not just because it's the holidays. People are rushing to get to a meeting, keep an appointment, run errands, or deliver the kids to their guitar or karate or whatever lessons. And they want to get there in the fastest way possible. Everything seems to be in a rush. Take construction, for instance. Huge apartment buildings, office buildings, hotels, and even sports venues are popping up like mushrooms. They're like mushrooms where there was nothing there before, sorry. Just as quickly, structures have served as landmarks are being demolished and disappear in the blink of an eye. All this hubbub is affecting traffic. Isn't it terrible? Where did all these people come from? Speed is often the objective here in Tracktown, USA. And our enthusiasm for the sport often makes us think that we can set new records for ourselves, despite our aging bodies. Events meant to show us down are not events meant to show that we are not immune to our need for speed. I have it on good authority that the many people who go out to dinner before an event often don't give themselves enough time to eat it. So they choke down their dinner like they're in a pie eating contest at the county fair, and then or they just leave it behind and so that they can make it to their event on time. Technology, like the likes of AI and GPT, are praised for their speed. And social media is making us write messages that are shorter and shorter. That doesn't seem very social to me. It feels like the faster I go, the behinder I get. So in consideration of those things, my gift to Eugene is time. Time to stick around at your child's lesson, encourage them, and watch them learn new skills. It won't be long before they're all grown up, and you'll be wondering, where did the time go? Thank you. Time to appreciate the fact that new construction is a sign of the success of our businesses here. Or it could be the start of an effort to enforce design review. Time to remember and commemorate the history of what was, or be thankful that something abysmal has been taken down. Time to make minutes waiting for the green light, an opportunity to meditate or contemplate the subject of your choice. Time to take stock of where you are and where you want to go. Time to enjoy our many wonderful and world-class performances that come to town. Time to enjoy a leisurely meal, including dessert, before the event. And time for your family, friends, and yourself. So please accept my gift. I hope it helps you make the most of your time.
Thank you, Kathy. As a new grandparent of a 2-year-old, I surely can use that gift of time. Another retiree with much to offer our community is Richard Green. Richard is a retired house painter who spends his time now as a volunteer for a number of great projects serving the unhoused in our community. He volunteers for community-supported shelters, Burrito Brigade, Everyone Village, and he's known as the Pancake Guy every Saturday at Washington Jefferson Park. Richard is known as a kind soul with a big heart who's been quietly doing these good community works for years. So now it is time to come out in the open, Richard, and publicly share another of your gifts with our community.
Thank you, Dan, for that kind introduction. You know, I'm used to seeing Dan when we're volunteering for their Egan Warman Center. You know, he's dressed up like an Arctic explorer with this Super Grande coffee in his hand at 6 in the morning on a cold winter's day. And Dan is just as genuine and kind and considerate at that time as he is here. That is after he's had that coffee. At first he's a little grumpy. What I want to give the city to Eugene is my thanks. If I had more time, it would be expansive and very heartfelt, but I can only pick out certain things to express my thanks for at this time. And I want to express my thanks to the city of Eugene for being a sanctuary city. And it is only fitting that we are. It is consistent with everything that Oregon stands for, because this is always a place where people have come seeking life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Sanctuary is a concept that's sort of like the name Oregon. It's very ancient, and things cling to that concept that cannot be easily put into words or definition. But sanctuary is something that the many give to the few, while the wheels of justice that grind incredibly slow, and the arc of justice history bends towards justice. It's a time of sanctuary for people. But in our community now, people that we are granting the space to live in are in fear. I give people rides, women that are afraid to leave their children alone, to come home from work. And what they're afraid of is our government. And no one can tell them they're safe. None of you sitting here, no one listening on this radio can tell people that they are safe in our community from our government. Now, we have no problem with law enforcement as long as it's consistent with our ideals and the principles and the spirit of the law, that things like due process, assumption of innocence, right to counsel, independent judiciary that's subject to judicial review. We have no problem with law enforcement. But what kind of people do they think we are that they can come into our community and spread this fear? Now, maybe they are right, though. You know, we have surrendered our rights to protest, to free assembly, freedom of speech on federal property within our city. Now they want to extend that to the streets of our city. There's 2 U of O students who have been arrested for making loud and unusual noises in our streets. They're aiming now to suppress our freedom of speech in our streets. Now, the only things we have is each other and our rights to assemble and to protest. But for peaceful, nonviolent protest to be successful, it needs numbers. They estimate like 3% of a population, approximately 5,000 people in Eugene. If they were showing up, that would be something. We recently had a march and a vigil with 200 people showed up. And I have to say, come on, like for heaven's sakes, we can do better than that. We can do better than that. You know, Patrick Henry said, I call not upon a few, but upon all. Lay your shoulder on the wheel. Better to have too much force than too little when so great an object is at stake. So in the spirit of the lightness of this occasion, I have these magic glasses that I put on, and I can see a future that has no evil in it. I can see a future where 5,000 people show up, and we step onto the federal property. We express our rights to assemble. I see a thing where 50,000 people come from Autzen Stadium, and they surround the federal courthouse, and they laid out these loud and unusual noise. Ooh, ooh. But I take these off, and we all know that's not going to happen. And maybe they are right about us, that we'll accept these things in our society. And you may have no reason to protest, even though I'm asking you to show up every Tuesday of the month to the protest. Yeah, after all, they're not coming for you. Why should you protest? It's not your free speech, because you're not protesting that's being restricted. But I like to close with a quote that's on a plaque in the Lane Morris Free Speech Courtyard by Benjamin Franklin. Any society that would give up a little liberty to gain a little security will deserve neither and lose both. Thank you.
Dang, Richard. I spent 40 years preaching every Sunday, and that was the finest sermon as I've ever heard, and better than most that I ever gave. Well, definitely not retired and actively working to assist our unhoused neighbors are our next 2 speakers, Blake Burrell and Heather Quaz-Anza, co-executive directors of community-supported shelters. The producers of nearly 200 Conestoga huts you see all around Eugene and Springfield, where the unhoused can find a safe place to be. Blake oversees operations, programs, and site development to ensure safe, low-barrier shelter and supportive services for their clients. He is known for his collaborative leadership style and deep commitment to housing first principles, working closely with staff, partners, and residents to build stable, intentional communities that help people move from survival toward long-term stability. Heather leads the fundraising, donor engagement, and community partnerships at community-supported shelters. Heather brings more than a decade of nonprofit leadership, advocacy, and governance experience, grounded in a deep commitment to dignity, equity, and intentional community. In addition to her work at CSS, Heather serves on the Springfield Public Schools Board and on several local boards and advisory committees focused on poverty, homelessness, and the arts. A longtime county resident, Heather is passionate about building systems that expand opportunity, strengthen community, and help people move from crisis to stability. And I can just add to that, as through my work at Square One Villages, working with Blake and Heather over many years has been a great privilege. And so I welcome them now to the podium to share their gift with us today.
Hey all, thanks for having us. My name is Blake Burrell. And Heather's going to kick us off, but I just want to say I really appreciate you all having us here and giving us an opportunity to give a gift to the city.
And I wrote a script for Blake, and he hates scripts, so this should be fun. So yeah, what we are gifting the city today is a winter survival kit and self-care kit, because winter in the city isn't just about rain and darkness. Sometimes it's about fear, uncertainty, and how safe people feel in their own community. So to start it off, we have the most important item in our kit, de-icer. And we want to be very clear. This is not just for frozen windows, doors, and sidewalks. This is de-icer to get ice out of our city. And honestly, Eugene has never handled ice well. It shuts down the city, no one knows how to drive on it. Biking and walking become terrifying, so this kind of felt very on brand.
And most importantly, we know when ICE shows up in a community, people stop going to work. They stop taking their kids to school. They stop seeking medical care and shelter. Fear freezes trust, and frozen trust harms everyone.
So our de-icer represents a city that chooses safety over fear, care over intimidation, and community over cruelty. A city that understands that public safety means everyone feels safe, regardless of whether they were born here or what papers they carry.
Our next item in our self-care kit, we brought duct tape for our housing supply, because while we work to change systems that don't serve people, we're often holding things together in the meantime. If you've ever worked in housing, education, public service, you know that duct tape is how you keep people safe while you push for better solutions. And yes, that is duct tape, not duct tape with a T.
So the next item we brought is a giant pencil and eraser. This is Eugene's permission slip to say we can do better. We can revise policies that cause harm, we can erase approaches that don't work, and we can write new ones that are rooted in dignity and data, not fear.
And to capture those ideas, we included a notebook that says, work smart, not hard. Although I can guarantee you, Heather and I work very hard, it's important that we recognize that burnout is not a badge of honor. Sustainable change requires collaboration, clarity, and the people who are supported enough to think clearly.
After yesterday's weather, we thought it was appropriate to add a towel to help dry off. But this particular towel I thought was pretty cool because it has a really important thought on it. They teach us kindness when we're kids, but I feel like there needs to be a little bit more follow-up. After 160 years of the city existing, we thought that the city might need a refresher course. Kindness isn't just a value, it's a practice, and it requires repetition.
And like any good self-care kit, we know how important it is to rest. So we included a sleeping mask, which reads, reminder, set intentions. Before policy debates, even before enforcement decisions, before we speak about people instead of with them, intention matters because they shape outcomes.
We also brought with us a pocket constitution, because constitutional rights don't stop at city limits. Due process and equal protection and human dignity belong to everyone, and that should be close at hand when we're making decisions.
And as we read our pocket constitution, I get some of our organization's wonderful buttons, which we make and hand out at all of our events. And some of these buttons read things like, normalize equality, be the light, united we stand. These aren't slogans to us, they're commitments, especially in moments when it could be easier to stay quiet. It's important that we use our voices and we stay loud.
So these are our gifts to the city. Tools to melt fear, repeat what's strained, rest with intention, and stand firmly for one another.
And our wish is that this city can continue to choose compassion, care, and community, even when it's cold. Thank you all.
Thank you, Blake and Heather. It's almost like we got a theme going here, right? It's like maybe we planned this or something. Yeah. Our next former City Club president is Mary Layton. Mary served as president from 2011 to 2012. She also chaired the program committee for many years. As the former principal of Network Charter School from when she retired in 2013, Mary has been a strong community advocate for education, especially for our youth who may not be a good fit for public schools. Since her retirement, she has worked for the public good in other ways, coordinating the work of the Interfaith Food Hub and volunteering in 4J classrooms and programs. For fun, she sings at the St. Thomas More Newman Center Choir and with the ever-popular Raging Grannies. But of course, she's not a granny, right? We hope, Mary, you will share more gift than rage with us, unless rage is your gift. But please do share.
Well, this actually goes along with the last gift. If I had a magic wand, my gift to the city would be a new and illuminating insight about how most effectively to respond to the crisis of homelessness in a relatively short time. I start with 5 assumptions about Eugene and our shared values. First, I know from experience that we have a talented and hardworking group of civil servants and community leaders who want everyone in the community to be safely and sustainably housed. Second, I believe we all want our public safety officers to be able to focus on criminal activities that threatens our welfare and our possessions, not on chasing unhoused people and their possessions from place to place. Third, I assume that we want our entrepreneurs to succeed or fail on the merits of their enterprise, not on outside factors like people sleeping in their doorway. Fourth, it's reasonable to believe that almost all of those currently unhoused would like to have a safe, secure, and sustainable lodgings that accommodate at least the normal range of personal requirements for privacy and community. And finally, we want those who cannot be accommodated in otherwise sound programs to be supported or constrained in other ways that preserve community safety and order, as well as their welfare. I believe that we share these values. I don't think it's because people are being stupid or lazy. I think we just haven't figured it out yet. In my work as an educational researcher, as part of a study of model practices and the development of English language fluency, I encountered one shining example of innovative practice developed in similarly complicated, conflicted circumstances in Balderas Elementary School in Fresno, California. Most of the schools I visited, and it was across the whole country, model programs that worked for English and that nourished home languages. They had 2 languages. Usually it was English and Spanish, but sometimes it was English and Havasupai or Navajo. But 2 languages. You could do it in 2 languages. Balderas had Spanish, of course, it's California, Cambodian, Laotian, Vietnamese, and Tagalog. Regular school day teaching had to happen in English because there was no other common language. Furthermore, the state of California had decided that in such conditions, all the teachers had to be certified in teaching English as a second language. So you got a whole mess of assignments here, goals that needed to be achieved, not a lot of money to do it. And pretty much all the students lived in poverty, needed support for English literacy, and would benefit from after-school programs. This principal created an after-school program that was conducted in the students' home languages. Everybody stayed after school, and they went to the place where their language was spoken. She hired literate native speakers of the students' home languages to teach literacy and provide academic support. She created a school environment that was happily and fluently multilingual, both advancing English language development and celebrating the precious resource of home languages. My point is, nowhere else in the country had this been done, and our study was conducted nationally. In a situation where most people would have given up the quest for excellence in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds, limited funds, and apparently conflicting goals, this principal invented a new model, using familiar resources in new ways. So if I had a magic wand, my gift to the city would be a fresh and illuminating insight about how to use available resources and perhaps identify others to respond more completely to the crisis of homelessness in our community. I recognize that policymakers must honor the diverse and sometimes conflicting legitimate needs of different sectors. I believe that they bring to this challenge abundant knowledge and skill. I would offer them the gift of a new insight on how best to do that. And I think maybe Act Now, Lane County initiative will provide nourishment to support new insights.
Thank you, Mary. Boy, these gifts make you think, don't they? And so from Mary, we turn now to the next City Club president, appropriately enough, also happens to be Mary's son, Marty Wilde. No nepotism here at City Club, right? Marty served as our president not once but twice, from 2012 to 2014. He is a retired JAG officer, and no, he was not ousted by the current administration like some, but only because he got out before they got in, right? Marty's also a former state representative, serving for one term during which he showed readiness to cross the aisle when need be. He currently works in civil service and teaches at the University of Oregon School of Law part-time. Marty, we welcome you back to the podium.
Thank you, Dan, and thanks to all of you who came and who are listening. I give Eugene the gift of difficult conversations. In this season of peace, most of us will try to avoid difficult conversations, especially with those we love. After all, no one knows how to push our buttons like the members of our own families. But if we can give each other some grace, there's a lot we can learn from one another. I teach a class on youth activism at the University of Oregon. As the term drew to an end, I found myself upset that I had not better managed a conflict between a conservative student and the rest of the class. Whenever the student spoke, a restless murmur would wash over the class. When he stopped, they would draw their rhetorical knives and not try to convince him, but instead tried to show the rest of the class how ideologically pure they were in their beliefs. How, I thought, could I teach them to solve problems collaboratively? I thought about our current president. So many people dislike him because he makes so little effort to understand them. He speaks almost exclusively to people who already support him. He makes little effort to understand people who have different opinions than him. And for that reason, I suspect his influence will not long survive his tenure in office. And while 61 of the 62 students in my class clearly despised him, they often acted just as he does. In my 5 years in politics, I knocked on about 20,000 doors. I tried to start every doorstep conversation the same way, by introducing myself as a candidate for the office I was seeking, and for asking them what they wanted to see from me if I got the job. Most seemed doubly surprised. First, that I came to their door, and second, that I cared what they thought. St. Dominic believed his faith could only be proven if he could debate successfully with anyone on their own terms. Not only would that show that it was a universal truth, but also by coming to people where they were, both physically and rhetorically, he showed that he cared about their beliefs, not just his own. In conversation, as in life, we must give to receive. As St. Francis of Assisi wrote in his prayer for peace, "Grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand." In that light, I encourage us first to ask, then to listen, and only then to speak about the topics we disagree about this holiday season. Remember that everyone you meet is fighting a battle that you know nothing about. Why do you feel that way? Is a good question, and one that shows that you care enough to listen. A person who disagrees with you and still speaks to you may be giving you two gifts. First, they give you a different perspective that will expand your own understanding. And second, if you listen, they may give you the opportunity to give your own perspective. It is through these difficult conversations that we restore what truly made America great, the ability to solve problems collaboratively. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. Our next speaker is neither retired nor a former City Club president, just to show that we do know a few others in our community doing good things. Jensina Hawkins began her health career in Eugene in 2006. In 2017, she founded Mokadial Medical, LLC, a medical software consulting practice. She is nationally recognized as an expert trainer for physicians, practice managers, and staff, and has worked with nearly 200 medical organizations across the country. Locally, Jensina serves with many community efforts, including the Asian American Council of Oregon, Asian and Pacific Islanders Networking in Eugene and Springfield, the Neighborhood Leaders Council, Churchill Area Governance Board, Communities United Against Hate, the Universal Health Plan Governance Board, Community Engagement, and Communications Committee. Boy, Communications Committee, you'd think with someone communicating that wouldn't be difficult to say. And Love for Lane County. She and her husband, Demond, are active members of Willamette Christian Center, and together they have 6 BIPOC children ranging in ages from 5 to 31, making the Brady Bunch look like total fakes. Oh wait, they were total fakes. Fictional at any rate. Well, with a wealth of lived experience in deep poverty, gender discrimination, racial bias, domestic violence, and mental health crisis, Jensina is passionate about securing equitable access to education, healthcare, and public safety for all human lives. She has recruited at the last minute an assistant, Eric Jura, who will be joining her. Welcome.
I'm Jensina Hawkins. Some of you might think my gift to the city of Eugene is Demond Hawkins. I'm sure he thinks that he's a gift to the city of Eugene. But I have something different planned today. Demond was supposed to be my partner for this. He's currently at home sick. Very convenient for him. So I roped Eric Jura into this. Now, I actually did a season of theater in community college, which kind of makes me a theater person. I'm going to go with that. I'm used to pivoting and thinking on my feet. Eric is a quantum physicist. So grant him a little grace because I really did rope him into this at the very last minute. All right, Eric, you ready?
I'm ready. How do you want to do this?
All right. So Eric, I'm looking straight in front of me and I see blue-ish velvet curtains. They're pleated, there's lights, but there's no people. It's actually a little bit boring. Eric, what do you see?
I see a lively and engaged audience, many of whom I know. I see Thomas waving wildly in the back, and I see really an extraordinary group of people.
Well, that must be nice because I'm just looking at these blue curtains. All right. Well, now, Eric, I see a window. Hey, there's sunshine out there. There's a tree. It's got moss covering it. Looks like a beautiful day out there. Eric, what do you see?
Well, I see this rather dark, deep space full of all kinds of junk and wires. It's really not very pleasant, and you know, it's really kind of a downer.
Man, I wish you could see this beautiful sunny window. Well, Eric, I'm looking at a crowd of people who are pretty engaged. I see Thomas Hero waving wildly at me. That's interesting. I see a lot of friendly faces that I know. Eric, what do you see?
Well, I see this wonderful blue background with these beautiful, bright white LED lights that kind of reminds me of the night sky.
Okay. So, folks, my gift to the city of Eugene, and it was from Demond Hawkins and myself, is the gift of 360-degree vision. There are multiple perspectives. Everybody has a perspective. We all have views on things, and they're all right. If you take a moment, if you pivot, if you listen to what somebody else is saying, you can see what they see. You can see the beauty in what they see. You can see the boredom or the sadness in what they see. But the whole point of this, for the city of Eugene for 2026, I want Eugene to have 360-degree vision.
Don't you just love the creativity of our gift givers? For our radio audience, if you didn't figure that out, our two speakers had their backs to each other, and even though they're standing in the exact same space, they had completely different views. So What a great illustration of our need for broadening our vision. And finally, our last City Club president, well, not our last president, but the last up for today is Eric Richardson. Eric is perhaps better known as the past Lane County NAACP Executive Director. He's also a past Turtle Award recipient given by the City Club to community leaders not afraid to stick out their necks, which Eric has done on many occasions. He is a former organizational strategist at the Oregon Family Support Network, a former board member for Oregon Habitat for Humanity, and former board secretary for United Way of Lane County. Currently, Eric is the Environmental and Climate Justice Liaison for Beyond Toxics. Eric studied politics at Lane Community College, where he attended from 2008 to 2011, and he has been a significant voice in our community for racial and climate justice for many years. We welcome to hear from you once again, Eric.
Happy to be here. Many of you may not know, but I have our family history of studying our culture, Africa, Black Africa. And today, my gift to the city is the gift of the analogy or story of the balanced scale and the use of tech for public good. And this tech that I speak of today is actually a tech that I will explain. It is part of what we call, well, I'll go into it now. It says, in the ancient days of yore, there was a ceremony called the weighing of the heart. The heart being an extension of an individual's life. But in our case, this heart is an extension of the life force of our community itself. This heart is being weighed against a feather. This feather is very light, as you know a feather to be, but it also represents, it has principles attached to it: universal balance, truth, equilibrium. And believe it or not, universal balance and truth sometimes is negative, sometimes is good. It is what it is. So this story has several players in it. The scale itself, which consists of the fulcrum, the balance beam, it has two wires, and the weight, the weighted discs, and then we have on the scale something that the ancients called the tech. Might be something that's similar to technology, but it is a piece of the scale that is a calibrator to make sure it's actually balanced. So, right, you have the tech. And then there are other two players that are very important in that, outside of the heart, the feather, which are placed on the scale, the tech, which is on the scale, which makes sure this device, which is an innate mechanical device. And then you have Anubis, which many of you may know as the dog-headed god, black dog. But Anubis also has principles attached to it. And those principles are being the first Westerner, meaning this is the first to have gone over to a woke afterlife. And therefore he has, or she has, investment in making sure that others join them in this afterlife, this woke afterlife. And Anubis has seemingly their hand on the tech. Tahuti is simply there, the god of writing, the inventor of writing, is there recording, but it's intellect, it's compassion, it's truth as well, but they're just recording. The important part of this story is that hand on the tech, because the outcome of this scene decides the fate of the owner of the heart. Will they safely join their ancestors in the West or face oblivion? And there's a symbol of oblivion there that we can understand. So, the scene is set. The heart has been weighed by a mechanical device, yet there are two entities there who have the goodwill of the individual or the community at heart. So this isn't going to be just a robotic measurement. This robotic measurement has at its core Anubis, who is the first Westerner, who wants us to join them in the West, has their hand on the tech and calibrates according to the needs and the circumstances of the individual or community to make sure that this scene of judgment comes out in favor of the individual or community. We are inheritors of Anubis and of this responsibility to care for the tech. You can call it technology. You can call it whatever you want, but we have our hands on the scale, so to speak. And as we go forward, let us think back of our ancient lessons that we have in many forms. This is just one. And so my gift to the city is curiosity, mystery, and engagement. Let's put our hands on the scale in favor of justice for all. Thank you. And just in case you hadn't used, this is the scene I'm describing.
Pass it around, Eric, so they can take a closer look.
There you go.
In the history of City Club gifts, I don't think anyone has ever spoken about Anubis before, so another first. So as a former preacher, I have a biblical rationale for our final speaker today. It's a well-known saying from the Gospels: the first shall be last, and the last shall be first. And given that, Terry McDonald was named first citizen of Eugene by the Eugene Chamber of Commerce, it seems appropriate then for him to have the honor of the last gift. I've known Terry for 30 years. I've watched with amazement of the many things he has done as the visionary leader of St. Vincent de Paul of Lane County for 39 years. I think he began at age 12. Through hands-on innovative leadership, Terry has led St. Vincent's to become the largest nonprofit human service agency in Lane County. I suspect it may be one of the largest St. Vincent's in the nation. You can tell us, Terry. Developing over 1,600 units of affordable housing, establishing the Hope Community Corporation, building low-cost, high-quality manufactured homes, implementing a wide array of economic development projects that have improved the environment and the community. Terry has a passion for creating solutions to homelessness and poverty through unique recycling and reuse programs, finding ways to turn everything from styrofoam to old mattresses into gold. And when a new nonprofit had a vision for creating a new form of shelter using tiny structures, Terry agreed for St. Vincent's to be the fiscal sponsor for what eventually became Square One Villages, which I had the honor of leading for the last 12 years of my career. So I'm deeply appreciative of all Terry has done for our community, as I am sure you are, and look forward to one more gift that he has to offer us.
Well, you also have to recognize that the reason that you're last is that you're the ringer, and it's probably going to be the most forgettable of these presentations, which have been quite excellent. So I gave some thought about what a gift to the city would be if I could come up with something that was overarching, and it would be energy independence from the Bonneville Power Administration. The issue that we've had for almost 100 years is that we've been the beneficiaries of extremely low interest, low cost of power. We've been blessed with having that system since the Depression, but those days of cheap power are coming to an end. And as we all know, the times that we're in now, increasingly we have to find a way to move toward energy independence from the normal grid that we've looked at. The grid itself, its system is going to be changing. And it can't be done just with conservation. I wish it could. But the truth is that even if you were to insulate every house, and if you could find a way to solve all of those bleeding out of energy here and there on heating, it would not be enough because we do have to move away from fossil fuels. And at the end of that, we're going to have an entirely different system on how we manage to move about and how do we run our businesses and so forth. And that's going to require renewable energy resources. It is not impossible to make this dream possible. It can be done. It just requires a great deal of creativity. And I believe in my heart of hearts that the community that we live in has that kind of opportunity for creativity, whether it's biomass materials or whether it's wind and solar. I think all those systems put together and actually finding a way to change the way we look at the grid will completely change and propel this community into the future that it really deserves and has led all this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. And as a proud new owner of an electric vehicle, I say amen, right? So I hope these gifts inspire you to share the gift only you can give with your family and friends. May the season bring you joy. May the light of hope guide you through the darkness of our endangered democracy. And may the only ice you encounter be in the mountains or in your holiday drink. Wishing you all the best for the holidays and a better new year to come. This is Dan Bryant for the City Club of Eugene, building community vision through open inquiry, and on this day, sharing the gift of giving good things to bring holiday cheer to all. Thank you very much.
Well done. Thank you so much. I wish we could do this for hours. That is all the time we have for today. Please join me in thanking our many wonderful presenters. This has been our December 19th, 2025 program at the City Club of Eugene. We'll be taking a holiday break, but we'll convene our next forum here at Wow Hall on Friday, January 9th at noon. That program is called Act Now Lane, where the acronym ACT stands for Advancing Community Together, and the topic is on housing and homelessness. It's sure to be a wonderful forum, and we're looking forward to seeing you there. Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your year, and we'll see you in January at the City Club.